Okay. First, we are going to discuss about port number, or commonly used port. So, what are they? Okay, let us note down. We will write down commonly used port number. Okay. So, make a note on this. FTP, SSH, Telnet. These are minimum. You need to know that minimum we are using port number. We'll discuss on this. One by one, we'll note down. So only just write down this. FTP means what? SSH means what? Like that. Commonly used port number. Once it is written, just let give D, then we will start discussing on interview. So yesterday we studied about three blocks of ports or port addresses. Today we are just seeing commonly used port. Yeah, Ranjita done. Should I make a note?
Yes, done.
Okay. Now we are going to learn on the one. First, as I told you yesterday, every application, remember this, every application has a function. Each function has two things. L7 protocol. Each protocol will have L7 protocol will have port number. Then L4 protocol will have protocol number. Now we are going to discuss about port number. The next topic we are going to study is TCP protocol suite that we will be using understanding the port number, protocol number. Now whenever I take L7 protocol, whenever I take any application, for example, I'll divide that into TCP. TCP protocol number is 6. Protocol number is 6. I'll write down some protocols in that. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 9 protocols we're going to write down. 3, 4, 5, okay. Now let us understand this. First FTP. FTP is file transfer protocol. what it does is basically whenever the application wants to transfer a file from one location to another location, it uses FTP, and it has two port numbers, one for control plane, one for data plane. So what is the port number for control plane? Maybe
Control plane is 20.
20. How do I check that? How do I check that control plane is 20? I'll go to this. So there is a port list. ENA. Go and check that. ENA is the organization. Data is 20. Is 21. You see that here, right? This is the link. We will check. So data is 20. Role is 20. Okay. So whenever you're doing the starting the session, login, that time it uses port number 21. And to transfer the data, it will happen in port number 24. Now, what is SSH full form?
Secure shell host.
Use socket.
Secure shell. Good morning, Sandeep.
Very good morning, Praveen.
Yeah. So we just started. We are just discussing about the common port numbers. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So SSH means secure shell. So what is the full form of secure shell? What is the function of secure shell? Secure shell function is secure login, or you can say encrypted login protocol. So what is the port number? Port number is, check here, SSH is 22. Okay. Same way, telnet. Telnet is the application. Telnet is the protocol. So what application we use generally for this telnet is this is remote login. You can say like telnet is, we call it plain text login. Okay. And the port number is 23. And what is the application we use for this? One application is called Putty. Okay. So this application is Putty. Like that, every protocol is actually used the application. So the application is Putty. Function is remote login, plain text or encrypted remote login, plain text or hypertext. Okay. Plain text or hypertext. Okay, like that. Next we will study telnet SSH is done. Then we'll see the SMTP. SMTP means simple mail transfer protocol. Mail transfer protocol. Okay. So in this protocol, we will be, what is the function is, we will send and receive mail. Okay. Port number will be 25. This is your, what is the application? For example, Outlook you can use. Next we have POP3, DNS, HTTP, POP3. Let me put like this. I'll put here POP3, then IMAP 4, port, HTTP, HTTPS, other two like POP3 MF4 both are actually same function only. They both are for what? For download mails from internet mailbox to local mailbox. When you press this in Outlook, now when you press this send and receive, it will download all the mails in your laptop mailbox, right? That is, we use POP3 or IMAP, internet mailbox to local mailbox. Both are same function. There is a difference here. Difference is when you do POP3, it will copy and paste, cut and paste. Cut and paste means one time you download the mail from the internet mailbox to local mailbox, laptop mailbox, then there will be no mails will be there in the internet. But IMAP is copy and paste. It takes one copy of your mail and put it in the laptop mailbox. But after that also you can go check in your internet also. After you download and see in the mail, after that also you can check in the internet. This is copy and paste. Generally, IMAP4 is used. Copy and POP3 is never used. POP3 you want to use, you have to use whenever you have a quota system. What is quota system? There is a limitation in your mailbox. After some particular mails, it will not allow. So that time you download and keep it somewhere. That time you generally go for POP3. Otherwise, we use IMAP4 for general purpose. What is the port number for POP3? POP3 port number is 110. IMAP4 is 143. HTTPS you know already. We discussed plain text web browsing protocol. Plain text is HTTP 80. I'm a HTTPS encrypted text. Complete web browsing. I'm a encrypted text browsing. It is 440. Next, DNS domain name service. What it does is they give a FQDN. FQDN means fully qualified domain name. It will resolution of FQDN to IP address. The port number will be 53. Like Windows, you can have Windows application will be Windows 2016. Another server that will run this service DNS service. Now, take this example DNS. DNS will work in TCP also, UDP also. UDP if you take UDP applications, UDP protocol number will be protocol number. Now, what is the protocol number? 70. Okay, now port numbers we'll see. Port number is, let us start some important, like start from DNS. So we will do some five protocols will take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So now first we'll start with the DNS. As I told you, DNS can do 53. DNS can do both UDP and TCP. So now let's understand where UDP will be, TCP will be used. Now try to understand here what is DNS. Now you want to go to one internet, one website. Okay. The website is in internet, meaning there is the internet. There is the Google data center, Google DC. The Google DC have a data center. You have the google.com website. Google.com. Now I want to go to this website, this server, this website, this one. Now I'm PC1. So how I will go? I'll connect to my house router. My house router will take me to okay, ISP. Now in big companies, for company level, if you take, they'll have a switch. Before going to router, they'll have a switch. Home router will have switch router all are single box. But in company, if you go, it will have a separate switch called switch. You will connect to the switch. From switch, you will connect to the router. From the router, you connect to where? Router will connect to the ISP. So ISP means Internet Service Provider. Okay. So this Internet Service Provider will connect to Internet ISP, for example, Airtel. Okay. Then we connect to Internet. So what is Internet? Physically, it is a World Wide Web. WW. It's a wire. World Wide Wire Web. This Internet is public. Now, who are all connecting to this wire web? They are also in Internet. Now, this Google data center also connected in wired web. So they connected like this. Okay. Now, in my browser, I'm typing in PC1. I'm typing www.google.com. This is called FQDN. FQDN, fully qualified domain name. FQDN. Okay. The moment I type this, computer understands only three address: IP address, MAC address, port address. Okay. Yesterday we saw that. So now computer don't know what is this google.com address. So for human beings we use this google.com, but computer has to know has to have these three addresses: IP address, MAC address, and port address. So what it does is it will go and ask this help. I got google.com. Can you please tell me how to get the IP address of the server? So for that, in our machine we will configure IP, IP address, subnet mask, default gateway, and the DNS server address. This all we have to configure. For example, I'm just writing my machine IP address. This will be manually or using DHCP you have to configure. Okay. So then I'm doing 1.100 plus dot 100. Default gateway 255.255.255.0. Default gateway is 192.168.1.1. DNS service 192.168.1.2. Correct. So this DNS server I have put in my company here. This is my local DNS. Okay, try to understand. In this DNS server, I have kept some entries called a record. Okay, so this is my two. This is my DNS server. We call this as local DNS for this understanding. But local. Now, what this DNS server is having? It's having a record. What is this a record? It will have. If I want to go to Google, what is the Google IP address? Google service www.google.com means what is the IP address? For example, some IP address like this 128. I can find that. How do I find that Google server IP address? You just type name server lookup google.com. www. Okay, the IP address is 172.15. Okay. This is the record. This is the record to maintain the local DNS. So the local DNS server, I have maintained the record. So what it does is it will go and request this local DNS server like this. You see, one will ask the local DNS server, and he will give the IP address to the. So this communication is UDP. Okay. Now, for some reason, this local DNS server is not having the record. Now it will go and ask your ISP DNS server. S3. S3 means server 3. This is again ISP DNS server. He will have more records. ISP DNS. Okay, it will have more records. So it will go and ask ISP DNS. So, sir, I need to have google.com. Do you have that IP address? So now this ISP is requesting this DNS. S2 is requesting to S3. S3 will give the records. So this is called zone transfer. This process is called zone transfer. Okay. For the zone transfer, we use the protocol. The communication will be TCP. Okay. So UDP is used for DNS request and the DNS request and reply. DNS request reply. Okay. DNS request and reply. Understood? Now we have a TCP zone transfer. TCP zone transfer we use zone transfer we use TCP. For DNS request and reply we use UDP. Is this clear, everyone? Where we use TCP, where we use UDP, DNS. You have any question?
Prem, how many types of DNS records are there?
So many types is there. You can see that. Yeah. A record what we discussed now. It will maintain this. Then C name is there. MX
Okay.
record is there. EXS record is there. So these are the records we have. Okay, main records. So what we discussed is here record.
On the hook, we have 12 units.
What is MX record?
Yeah, you can see here. MX record is for use for email routing for email product. MX record specifies the server which attempts to deliver mail which request mail of domain. The C name is something like customer name. Okay, which will maintain this.
Okay.
C name records are another commonly used DNS entry which is used to point the domain name or subdomain name. Understand? No?
Okay.
C name. MX record is basically used to route the mail for the domain user. Which server we are attempting to deliver the mail, we use the MX record. So there are so many records. The main one is like say mails. This is MX record. You see that mail, which mail you are going to access.
So CNAME and MX records also they are saved in our internal DNS.
Yes, yes. See, DNS server will have all the records. Okay.
Okay.
Understand? DNS server will have all the records, but I'm just taking one function and explaining it. For everything there is a communication. The main function what we discussed is here record. Here record is what you give this one the one domain name, the IP address. Understand? No?
Yeah, got it.
I'll give this link to you. go through this. Okay. So, can anybody has any other questions? Sanjeev, if you are clear, sorry, Sanjeev, if you are clear means you can give why. Then I'll go to next. What about Ranjita and Ashwita? Any questions? Sanjeev is clear. Ranjita clear. Ashwita? Okay, Ashwita also clear. Huh? Okay, fine. Next we are going to study. The next protocol will be NTP. We see DNS, we will see NTP, TFTP, boot P, DHCP, and SNMP. NTP, NTP, TFTP, TFTP, and boot P, DHCP, final one is SNMP. Simple enough. The NTP, what is the port number? NTP port number is 123. TFTP is 169. 69. TFTP. Boot P is 67. And I think 161. We'll understand one by one here. What is NTP? NTP is Network Time Protocol. So basically, I want to synchronize time in all devices. Then I use this NTP. What happens in NTP is we make one server as a NTP master server or NTP master. Then I'll make all the other devices as a client. So this all clients will talk to NTP master server. Then they will synchronize with the NTP client. So this is called NTP master client or server client architecture. So what will happen in this is all devices will have same time. It's very, very important for security. If the time is not synchronized, your log will have no meaning. This is very important in NTP server. So NTP, next to TFTP. TFTP is Tribal File Transfer Protocol, FTP. Here we use something like we want to store, or you can say take backup of device configuration and the OS, IOS. So I want to take backup of the OS of the device OS operating system, and what is the configuration. So I will use TFTP. This is basically without TFTP means what? Tribal means without login. TFTP means you need to have a login. Every time you have to log in, then we need to get that. Then only we can able to. Without login, I want to. I'll use TFTP. So generally, in company, within your company, you want to save the configuration of routers, switches, all the devices. We use TFTP server. So when we store all the configuration, we can restore it. If anything happens to the device, we can restore that. For that, we use TFTP. Now, boot P, DHCP basically. Let us take one by one. First, boot P. Boot P, if you take DHCP, they both are basically automatically configured. Automatically, this protocol will help you to automatically configure what? Now, here, boot P will help you to configure, automatically configure from booting. Now, understand here, from booting means when I power on a route, when power on a computer, from booting process, it will help you to configure. From booting to everything, IP, OS, IP, etc. So everything it will automatically configure. So nothing will be there in the machine. The machine is called we call it as diskless node, or we say dump device. Meaning what? In the client machine, in the computer, we will have no hard disk. So no hard disk means nothing is stored in the no hard disk in the computer. We call it diskless. No hard disk means diskless node. So no hard disk in the computer. What will happen when you power on the computer? The computer will send a request to via network card. Then there will be a central server. From the central server, we call host computer. From the host computer, all the message will be sent. All the information will be sent to the machine through network card. So through network, through NIC, the whole system will boot up. They'll get the OS, they'll get the application, and they'll get the IP address. They'll get the application started. Then they'll work. So if you see that, if you see that there is nothing stored, so no storage, no processing. No storage happens in the local machine, and no processing happens in the local machine. So that local PC will not have storage and processing. Everything is done in the centralized machine. So I want to do that type of setup. Then I will use BootP. So BootP is the protocol which helps you to boot. For booting, it will help. So what is DHCP? DHCP is not booting. See, for DHCP, we'll have a computer which have hard disk, OS, everything will be there. It will be only dynamically configuring. So what it is going to configure? Dynamic means automatic. And make host configuration protocol. Okay. So in this, what happens? Dynamically host configuration protocol. We will be configuring what all things? Automatically configuring your IP address, subnet mask, IP address, subnet mask, default gateway, DNS server IP address, and domain name. And whatever you configure is not permanent. It's a lease period. Lease period means for a particular time it will be configured. This lease period will be, for example, it will be like 24 hours. After 24 hours, it will again release and remove. This is DHCP. So DHCP automatically configures IP address, subject mask, default gateway, DNS, domain name, lease period. So it's all considered for 24 hours. After that, again it will release and release. Okay. This is DHCP. DHCP basically only configure the IP addresses and subnet mask and the domain name. But BootP protocol will be help you to configure from the booting process. From the booting to application and everything it will configure. For that we use BootP. Basically, this is used for centralized management. Centralized computing model means there will be a central server, all will be dump devices. Dump devices means no hard disk will be there, the whole will be booting from the central. For that we use BootP. Next, SNMP. SNMP means what? SNMP means simple network management protocol. Okay, so you can understand this. Simple network management protocol means we will going to grab device statistics. We will grab device statistics. Okay, what is the statistics? For example, CPU utilization, RAM utilization, hard disk utilization. All these things I'm going to grab. Okay, and I will store in a central machine. So here I'm going to have a centralized machine called SNMP console, central server. This SNMP server is used to grab information from all the devices. Okay, so devices may be like router, switch, firewall, from everywhere it will grab the information. After grabbing the information, it will show in a graphical manner. So it will be useful to manage the devices in data center. So to manage the whole company, we use a software called, for example, the application will be HP OpenView, or we have something called SolarWinds. These are the applications we use to manage the company data center and company network. Company SolarWinds, and we have something called as PRT. PRT is free. Okay, then so these all are paid one, SolarWinds and OpenView. So using this application, what we will do, we will configure all the devices, and this application, what it does is it captures the information from all the devices, and it will present in a graphical format, which we will call video wall. If you see this, basically this HP OpenView is used for where we use this. We call it as GNOC and the SOC. So GNOC means what? Global Network Operations Center. SOC means Security Operations Center. So this type of operation centers are there, no? Where the people will work. So they use GNOC. Okay, I'll just show you one GNOC, so which is GNC. Okay. Now this is called GNOC. Now this guy is actually, you see, he's getting a lot of images here, right? This is video wall. So in the images he's getting, he has 4 monitors. He's monitoring all the customer data center, customer network. If you see that he's getting these images, this is all CPU utilization. Now, how do you get all these images? These applications will actually go and gather information from the devices, and it will present in the graphical format. So for these applications to run, the backend protocol is SNMP, Simple Network Management Protocol. There are so many other protocols out there. The important protocol is SNMP. Okay, this is used.
Prem?
Yeah.
How different is SNMP from syslog?
Okay, SNMP will grab information. There's another protocol. I'll write down the management protocols. Okay, let me write down here. Management protocol. So many protocols are there. So what we saw now is SNMP. I'll write down. What SNMP will do? SNMP will grab information from devices. Okay. Now, this other important protocol is syslog. What syslog will do? System log. In the system, we can go and configure the logs, and we can store locally and remotely. So this is system log. So this is logs. Like you can go and set up the configuration in the syslog. So for example, somebody logs in, log out, it will give a log to you. This time, this user has logged in, this user has logged out. Like that, it will create a log. That log will be locally stored. You can store remotely in the syslog server. Like the device will be like syslog server will be syslog server. There is a name. Splunk is the famous syslog server. The TV is there. So many people are there. These are the applications. So what it does is basically they will download, or they can get the logs from the devices and maintain in a location. If you see, this logs will come like this. This log server log. So we take the TV. Okay. This is the image. You can see this. This is your syslog. So it is collecting information from multiple devices. You can select the device which you want to select. So based on that, it will start showing the log. You can see this, right? These are called logs collected from multiple devices. Syslog server. SNMP is you are going to configure the CPU, see in CPU utilization, memory utilization, continuously grab and see that. Syslog is whenever anything happens, it will send a log to you. Okay. It's event management, we call it. Anything happens. Without anything happens also, we want to capture, so every 2 minutes you want to capture some information about the device, we use SNMP. Syslog is log. What happened? What is happening in the computer or the device is called logs. The log will store, maintain locally or remotely, and in company will store in a remote location, that is syslog server. Another protocol, important protocol is NetFlow. There are 3 protocols, are very important protocols. NetFlow. This protocol is used for network flow. So here what we do, we configure net flow in all the devices. Now this HP OpenView or SolarWinds or PRTG, what it does is, they will, this not NetFlow will do, NetFlow protocol will, what do you call, gather incoming and outgoing traffic, okay, we gather incoming and outgoing traffic and sample it sample for 5 minutes. We have to set that sampling period. We have to set sample for 5 minutes, and he will give you a report. The report will be like this. A NetFlow report will come. We call NetFlow collector, NetFlow agent, NetFlow manager, like the different hierarchy or infrastructure is there. So we collect that for 5 minutes. After collector is collected for 5 minutes, it will create a report. In the report, will say top 10 um, top 10 users, conversation, top 10 conversation, top 10 protocol. Like that, it will give a report. So this is called NetFlow. So that so many protocols are there. Important protocols are SNMP, Syslog, and NetFlow. Okay. Ranjit, you got the answer? Not Ranjit, sorry. Sandeep, you got the answer?
Yeah, I got the answer.
Okay. Any questions from? Yes.
I have one more question. In NAC solution, we use SNMP traps, right?
Which solution?
In NAC solution, network access control solutions,
Yes.
we use SNMP traps. So
Yes.
how that is used? I mean, what information does it give?
Okay. SNMP trap is basically part of SNMP. Here we will put some rules. Okay. We set some rules or configure rules. Whenever this rule is matched, okay. Whenever the rule is matched, we will get a log. We'll get a message. Okay. Something like this. I am going to find out. I'm going to tell the device, okay, whenever you are going more than 70% of CPU utilization, send me a message. Okay. What is the rule I'm saying? Set like this. If it goes more than CPU utilization goes more than 70%, this is called baseline. So we set a baseline. It goes 70%. It will send a message. So this is called SNMP trap. So like that, we can set up a lot of rules and regulations. So based on the rules, it will keep on monitoring. Whenever it hits that baseline, SNMP will send a alert. So that is called SNMP trap.
Okay, so this is configured on SNMP server.
Yes, it will be configured on SNMP server, and it will be maintained by the SNMP server. Once you configure everything in the SNMP server will start collecting the information according to your trap configuration. Okay. After that, if whenever it hits that hit the rule, then it will send a alert in the form of email, SMS, or calls. It will send the alert. Okay. So then you come to know there is attack happened. Now, see, I told the example. This guy is monitoring, right?
Yeah.
Your he is monitoring. So this guy don't know what happens in all the devices. So he'll set up some SNMP traps in that. He's, for example, is maintaining 500 servers all over the world. Okay. Now 500 servers, you don't know what is happening. So we'll set up some traps like that. Whenever any attack, whenever it hits that, he'll get a message here. Then we'll start working on that. Understand, no?
Yeah, got it.
Yeah. So SNMP trap. Okay. I think everyone is clear on this. Sanjita, Ashwita is clear. Any questions?
Yes, it's clear.
Prem, one more thing. You told in TFTP we don't need any login.
Yes.
Yeah. So will that not be a security breach kind of thing?
Okay. So you have to understand here when to use TFTP, when to use FTP. Okay, TFTP is within your organization LAN, within your organization, inside your trusted zone, right? Inside your trusted zone. Like for example, you are inside your house. You are a big guy. You are wearing bulletproof jacket. Okay. When you go outside, but inside your home, when you are in your bedroom, you wear bullet jacket. Understand? You got my point, no? It's inside your house. So when you are communicating inside your house, you don't need to have every full security. But same thing, when you go outside your house, you are a chief minister, you will wear a bullet jacket. You will wear bullet jacket outside, untrusted network, untrusted zone. We say in the trusted zone, we don't need any. But I need functionality to happen, so I will use a simple protocol for functionality for transferring and receiving. But same thing I want to do in internet, going internet. That time I will go for depends on what zone you are there. Okay, like for example, take Telnet and SSH, Telnet and SSH, right? Telnet is plain text, SSH, both are login protocols. So if I'm logging with, I am an administrator, I am logging to my machine, I am directly connected. So within my LAN, I can use Telnet. But if I'm connecting to a customer device, he is outside of my network, then I'll use SSH. Understand? One.
But
Why we are going for a simple protocol? The reason is the more and more you go encrypted protocols, the load in the CPU will be more. So we must not unnecessarily load the device CPU. Understand?
okay.
It's not necessary in a trusted zone.
But how will we come to know who logged in and who has done what?
Where
I mean, if we use TFTP, we'll be knowing who has logged in and who has done what, who has taken the backup, who has loaded the file. I mean, right?
then you can go for FTP. And FTP, and you can do ADS, AD configuration, AD integrator. You want to know what all things are happening. It depends on you, right? What you want to do, what you want to verify. And the same thing I told you, whenever you are doing TFTP or anything, the system will send the log to the syslog server. So you understand. You can set up one configuration. Syslog also we can create your own logs. Okay. There is something called EEM. Event manager is there. EEM you have. So whenever you want to know that whenever anybody is taking any backup, I want to know. I need one log on that. Then you can go and configure the devices saying that you create your own event. When somebody is taking a log, I need a log on that time who has taken what, when they taken the backup. Send me a log in the system server. Means the device will send it if you want. Okay.
Okay.
Or you want to secure that, as you say, like I want to make sure that whenever backup again, he need to log in first. We have SCP. There are so many protocols are there. Okay. We have SFTP. Not only FTP. Okay. We have SFTP. SFTP is again secure FTP. Okay. Then we have SCP. Then you understand? EFTP. EFTP is without security. It depends what I want to use. I want to use TFTP, FTP. When FTP is not secure, secure FTP is there. Secure copy protocol is there. Okay, the different protocols are there. It depends on the requirement. We will select it. To understand the difference, right?
Is TFTP still being used?
Yes. See, I always understand this. In your home, inside your home, you don't need to put bullet jacket at all, right?
Yeah.
When I'm doing in my lab, for example, I'm teaching one lab in CCNA. I'm creating in Cisco Packet Tracer. I will not configure FTP. I will just use TFTP because for me the function is important, not I need to secure it. No?
Okay.
It's a trusted zone.
Okay.
In the production, yes, they want security means they go for FTP, they go for SCP, they go for SFTP. In the production, I'm saying. They are using this.
So just by entering the IP address, we are able to log in through TFTP, I guess, right?
No, just not IP address. Just to give the command, it will copy that all the files to the device server. There is no login concept.
Oh, okay.
Command to copy everything.
Yeah, I've never used TFTP, so that's why I just asked.
Yeah, EFTP is basically in production we use FTP. FTP or SFTP or SCP. Okay.
Okay.
Secure FTP and SCP, secure copy protocol.
Got it.
These are the protocols we use in the production. All are to restore and backup, backup and restore, you know, backup and restore protocol. Okay. Any other questions? If it is done, then you can move forward. Can we move forward? Okay, Ranjita done. I think Ranjita and Ashita is done, and Sandeep is done. Okay, fine. We'll move forward now. Next is I'm going to talk about protocols. Now I'm going to give you one chart. I'm going to ask you questions. You try to answer in your chat window. Okay. I'll just show you one chart, one slide. Okay. Just try to answer this. Okay. I'm going to tell you one protocol. Tell me what. Just type that. Type what layer it is. I'll just tell you the protocol. Okay. For example, I'll start with a simple protocol. Boot PS. You have to type what layer, L1, L2, L3, what layer it is. Boot PS. Type in the chat window. Boot PS is which layer protocol? L1, L2, L3. Boot PS. Sandeep give the answer. Boot P. Yes, Ranjita is the right answer. The answer is L7. Boot PS is L7 protocol. Okay. Next is SCP. SCP. SCP is Sandeep give the answer. Yes. The answer is L5. Both are correct. It's L5 protocol. Next is IPv4. Archita, it is L5. Okay. SCP session control protocol. It is L5. Next question is what is the question? Yeah, IPv4. IPv4 is, yeah, Sanjeev give the answer, Ranjita give the answer. Yeah, correct answer. All are correct answer. Ashita gave the answer. The answer is all are right. L3. IPv4 is L3. Next question is PPP. Point to point protocol. PPP. Sandeep give the answer. Ashita gave the answer. Yes, all give the answer. Now, the answer is correct. It's L2 WAN protocol. Remember, L2 WAN technology, WAN protocol. Now, MPLS. MPLS. Yes, that is also L2 WAN protocol. Now, token ring. Yes, that is also L2, but LAN protocol. Understand the difference? L2 only, but that is LAN protocol. So LAN protocols are three protocols are there. Three technologies or three protocols are there. In LAN, Ethernet, token ring, fiber. Fiber is fiber distributed data interface, FDDI. These all are the LAN technologies. WAN technology, SDLC, PPP, PPPoE, frame relay, ATM, MPLS. These all are what? WAN technologies. Okay, next you are going to study. Going for RJ45. Which layer protocol? RJ45. Sandeep give the answer. Ashita give the answer. The answer is L1. L1 it is LAN this connector standard, connector protocol. Okay. Then we have V.35 is WAN connector standard. Now one more I'll take. Just tell me RSA. RSA. RSA? Yes. The answer is it is L6 layer 6 encryption protocol. Layer 6 L6 encryption protocol is asymmetrical encryption protocol is RSA. Next, ICMP. Yes. Sandeep, I give the answer. Sandeep give the answer. The answer is ICMP is basically L4 protocol. So if I give any protocol, you need to tell me which layer it is. So if you are trained like that, it is easy for you to learn the concept. The function is same. There are different protocols will be there. Router protocol. For example, routing protocols you take, we have RIP, AGR, QoS, PGP. But what is the function of routing protocol is selecting the best route. So different scenario we use different protocols. Okay, RIP, AGR, QoS, PGP. Same way IP addressing protocol, router protocols are logical addressing protocols. IPv4, IPv6. Like that, different technologies will be there. Okay, different protocols will be there, but function will be same. So this is called protocols. Understand? Model is OSI model. While we are representing in OSI model, the protocols are TCP/IP protocol suite. Difference you have to understand. Representing in OSI model, we are not using OSI protocol, we are using TCP/IP protocol suite. So this you have to compare like this. So all vendors worldwide they are following this. Software and hardware vendors following this protocols. I think everyone is clear now. Now we are going to the next topic. So today's topic is TCP/IP protocol suite. In this, we are going to study. I told you we are going to study 7 protocols. Then I'll show you the wire map also. What I want to do is I want you to write down the function. The today's topic is TCP/IP protocol suite. In that, I'm going to take first TCP. What I'm going to do is protocol field and fields and functions. Now first understand this point here before going to this field and functions. You need to understand there is a data. Okay. Now there is a data. Now this data, okay, I want to send this data. We call this data as payload. Okay, the name for data is payload. So this data I want to send, I'm going to add some information with this. This is my L4 header. Then I'm going to add my L3 header. Then I'm going to add my L2 header. Okay, let me put like this. Now this is my L4 header. In L4 header, what I am adding? Source port number, destination port number. In L3 header, what I am adding?
Source IP and destination IP.
Source IP and destination IP. In L2 header, what I am adding?
Source MAC and destination MAC.
Study this in
Also, we had the algorithm CRCI.
that is L2 footer.
L2 footer.
This is L2 footer we are adding. We are adding what the mechanism, different mechanism. Okay, this is in footer. So these information we added in with the data, then we are sending it. Now this L4 protocols, irrespective of any protocol. For example, if you take L4, irrespective of any protocol, right? We need to minimum you have to add these 2 fields. This is mandatory field. Okay. With respect to any protocols. Now we are going to study. So if I add TCP header, what will be the fields will come? UDP header, what are the fields is going to come? TCP and UDP. Same way, if I add here IPv4, what is the fields will come? IPv6 means what is the fields will come. Then in L2, I'm going to take one protocol, Ethernet. If I add Ethernet, what are the fields will come? And each and every field, what is the function? Then we will study, these are the, after this, we'll study what is ICMP R. There are two extra protocols we're going to study. Okay, these are two extra protocols, we'll understand what is it. So ICMP comes here. Understand that ICMP is again here. ARP comes both of this. ARP is basically a protocol which will use these two, right? Because the ARP is address resolution protocol, which is taking address. If you give the IPL to find the MAC address. So basically, it works between IP and the MAC. You can say like that. So these are the protocols we're going to study now one by one. So we have to write down. I will just give you the how to write down this notebook and pen. So this is the format: serial number, field name, and the functions. So you just write down this format. I will just you have to write down this fields. Okay. So once this format is clear, then I just we can start writing down the. Okay. We just keep it like this. Now, so how I'm going to write down? First is serial number. Then what? Name, field name, and the function. That's it. This is the format. Okay. So first let's start from TCP. So TCP, I'll keep it like this. Start number 1, 2, like that. You write down the field name. I'll teach you the theory. Then we'll write down the functions. I'll just give one liner function. Okay, easy to remember. So like that we'll do it. We'll do for all the 5 protocols. First 5 protocols we'll do it. Okay, start from this. Now we'll start with the TCP. So TCP has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is reserved. This is one field. Okay, this is one field. It is called flags. Only a 7th field. And write down like this. 7th field is flags. In this 7th field, we have sub concept called sub flags called urgent flag, acknowledgement flag, push flag, reset flag, synchronization sync flag, ping flag. So like that you can note down. In 7 we have 7.1, 7.2 like that. We have 6 flags are there. 6 like that, 6 flags. Then 8th field is window size, 9th field is checksum, 10th field is urgent pointer, 11th field option, 12th field. So 12 fields we are going to add with the L4 header. Our L4 header is now TCP we are going to study. In the TCP we are adding with the data, we are adding 12 information. Your TCP, adding TCP header. So we are adding what? 12 information. Important is, as I told you, mandatory is what? Source port number, destination port number. So make a note on this and give D. Then I'll tell you one by one field what is the function of each and every field. Okay, we'll discuss on that. If you make a note, just give a D, then we'll start. Make a note D and we'll start. What do you write down here? Field names. Only field names you're writing. Source port number, destination port number, sequence number, acknowledgement number. Enter length reserved. Flags, URG, APCK, PESS, reset like that, flag. And window size, checksum, argument pointer, option, data. These are things we are writing now. From the one, we'll understand what each and every field is doing. Sandeep is done. Rankita is done. Shweta, did you finish?
Done.
Okay, fine. We'll start. First, remember, try to understand this. TCP is a L4 layer 4 protocol, transport layer protocol. Transport layer protocol. Okay, first point. Second is it is a connection oriented and reliable communication protocol. Reliable communication protocol. Okay. Now, connection reliable communication protocol. So every time you need to log in. Connection oriented means login is okay. You establish a connection before data transfer, and it will have a acknowledgement for each data sent. Okay. And protocol number is 6. Okay. Okay. Now let us start. Now try to understand this. Now the PC wants to send data to another PC. PC1 wants to send data to PC2. Okay. Now, what are the first thing what will happen is PC1 think they are using this application using TCP. Okay, but PC1 will send this what we are going to study. The topic is called TCP packet walk. That is his name, packet walk. We are going to walk with the packet. Okay, packet walk. Now, first what it does is it sends the one message. The message before sending it will create something called initial sequence number ISN. For example, 6. This is your SYN packet. SYN equal to 6. Okay, for example, it is randomly generated number, initial sequence number. Okay, so it sends SYN. Now, next, what happens? This guy will send, as I told you, it's a reliable communication protocol. For every communication, the PC1 has to receive acknowledgement. Now, acknowledgement number, how it comes is ACK number. It will come in a format called SYN plus 1. Now, I got 6, right? The acknowledgement number will be 7. What is the meaning of 7? PC1 understands, PC2 received 6. So, acknowledgement 7 is 6. Then again, PC2 will send a SYN. This SYN is basically ISN, initial sequence number generated. For example, 20. This 20. Now, the reply will come here. Yeah, I got your initial sequence number. He will give reply. Acknowledgement again he will give. PC1 will give acknowledgement. That will be 21. Once these 3 steps are done, okay, this process is called TCP 3-way handshake. TCP 3-way handshake. Okay. Once this 3-way handshake is done, session established. As a reliable company, as a connection oriented protocol, before data transfer, session has to be established. For session established, this 3 steps has to be happening. This is called TCP 3-way handshake. This is generally they'll ask you in interview also. What is TCP three-way handshake? So you have to tell like this: SYN, SYNAC, ACT. Like that you have to tell SYN, SYNAC, ACT. So once this TCP three-way handshake happens, it's established. Now the real data transfer will start. So now this is the real data transfer. Here he will push the data. Okay, he will push the data, and he will receive the data. So every push there will be ACT. Again, if you push the data, you can ACT, something like this. For example, this is your push. So PC1 is pushing the data to PC2, and he is giving acknowledgement for that. Again, he is pushing the data. PC2 is pushing to PC1, and for that, PC1 is giving acknowledgement like this. This is actually your data transfer. Okay. Now, after this data transfer, then we'll again have a after data transfer is completed, then again we'll send a message called a okay. Fin. Fin means let us finish the communication. Fin. Then it will give a act. When he's giving act, he will give fin and act. Fin act. Fin act. Then again he will say, okay, I am also finishing. Fin act act. This is the way session closed. This is called a TCP three-way handshake and how the TCP communication happens. Is this clear? Any questions in this? Can I move forward?
Yeah, Prem. I move forward.
Okay. Ranjita and Yashvita clear, right? Because we have some attacks in this. When I am teaching attacks, we have to have knowledge on this. Okay, what is TCP three-way handshake? So there are some attacks called TCP SYN flood attack. The time I will be again taking this concept. These are the fundamentals for our security club. Ranjita, clear? Okay. Next we'll go to the fields part. Now let us start one by one. First, note down source port number. So what is the function? Source port number. Source port number. The function is to keep the data separate. We studied in session layer. To keep the data separate for each application, we use source port number. Destination port number to identify the applications. Sequence number for three-way handshake. Acknowledgement number for reliable communication. For every data we have to get acknowledged, right? Further we use this field. Header length, the size of the header. Now when I take one data, how much I'm adding this L4 header. The L4 header size. This is your L4 header. What is the size of the header? This data. So this is 20 bytes. Okay. This is your header length, 20 by default it is 20 bytes. Reserved. This is okay. Understand here. The organization who is maintaining all the protocols is IETF. IETF means Internet Engineering Task Force. So now I want to know about this protocol. I need to go to IETF website and find out the protocol details. So the only authorized document for TCP. I want to understand what is TCP. The only authorized document is available in IETF website. How to find out? You just go here, you type TCP RFC. RFC means request for comment. Type the 793 tools.ietf.org. So this is the official document for TCP. Okay. Transmission Control Protocol is developed by 1981 by DARPA Internet Program. Okay. So I'm learning now header format. So this is the header format we are studying now. So this is the official document for TCP. Like that, every protocol will have its own RFC number. So we want to learn about something about protocol. Official website is ietf.org. This is the organization who maintains all the protocols in the world. So this is reserved for IETF. They want to do internal research, they use this. So this is for IETF. Next, flag. What is flags? When a PC is sending one data to another PC, how do I know what type of communication is coming? So to understand the type of communication, we use flags. For example, in an analogy, take an analogy like this. There is a war going on. One horseman is coming with a white flag. What is the meaning of that? The meaning is
To keep the peace.
coming with peace. Yeah, he's coming for peace, right? So something like that. So the flag will represent what type of communication is bringing. Without going inside the data, I can understand that okay, this flag is on means this type of communication is coming. Same way, the application want to know what type of data it is coming in. Just see the flag. If you see the other flags we have a push flag. Push means now this data is basically pushing the data from one location to another location. Reset flag, it is coming to reset the application, the relogin. For example, WhatsApp, if you take in the WhatsApp, not WhatsApp, you take this Paytm. So sometimes what happens if you have not used Paytm for a long time, it will reset itself. It will ask you to relogin. So this is coming for reset the communication. Then we have reset the push, acknowledgement, synchronize, these are all the flags, synchronize, So I want to stop this the communication pin. Like that, multiple flags will be there. One more is there, one more flag. Urgent flag is basically for, I think somebody mute here. Mute kona. Yeah. Right. Okay. So thanks. Urgent flag is basically for QoS, quality of service. Okay. So this is a different flags for. I understand what type of communication it is. Next is window size. Window size is basically I have a big router, small router. For in this scenario, I have a big router, small router. Okay. This small router doesn't have capacity to receive the whatever the big router is sending in one data. Like for example, there is a data size. You can send it up to 1500 MB, 500 bytes. Now what will happen here? A big router is telling I will send you 1 MB, 1 MB in one data. One packet will have 1 MB. But small router, what he says, sorry sir, I cannot handle that. Understand, no? So this is called what? This 1 MB data is called MTU, maximum transmission unit. MTU is maximum transmission unit. Understand this? Okay. So this MTU, he is giving a bigger MTU, but smaller router, like for example, Arunautu will give. Smaller router is not able to handle that much of data because his RAM is very small. For example, RAM is only 512 KB. So the smaller router will say, my MTU is only 256 kbps. Okay. So what this both routers will decide is, okay, we'll set one window size. The window size will be, I keep it as 256. Okay. So once I said window size is 256, what will happen? They both will communicate with 256 MTU. My MTU will be 256 only. So why we are setting this window size? I don't want to send too much information where the other router will get buffer overflow and that they lose the packet. To avoid that type of buffer overflow, which is mentioned here, size of the data communicated to avoid without any buffer overflow. To avoid the buffer overflow, we use this window size. Window size is basically the both parties, R1 and R2, both devices decided what size of data I will send you in a single packet. So you can process and store without any data loss. This is window size. Next is checksum for error correction. Any error is happening, you can correct that in TCP. Urgent pointer. For example, I have multiple data like this. this multiple data, this is a huge data. In this data, which data is urgent? For example, this data is urgent. For example, I'm sending 1 MB data. All 1 MB data is not urgent, right? So we have only this particular 64 KB is urgent. So what I will do, only the 64 KB I will point here. This to this is urgent. This is called urgent pointer. So in the whole data, how much data is urgent is called urgent pointer. Basically, maybe it's a voice call. So voice call is this is important. You have to send first. It's urgent. Option field is basically you want to add extra fields because the open standard. If you want to add extra fields in this TCP header, you can add it, or you want to send extra message like any data you want to add. This is your second. So these are the two fields extra they are given. If you want, you can add it. Otherwise, it's not required. So this is all the fields in the TCP. You have any questions in this?
I just wanted to ask about the urgent flag, but you answered it. I mean, the function of urgent flag is the one which you told now, right?
So in a whole data, in that which data is urgent?
Okay. That is urgent point, but how about the urgent flag?
Urgent flag will tell you without see when an application is when there is a mechanism called QoS mechanism, okay, quality of service. Now
Okay.
I want to go and understand this data is comes under quality of service or not. So one of the ways there are different methods are there. You have to see DSCP. There is a one field in IPv4 field will come in that. In the next we'll see IPv4 header. There's a field like DSCP field. We call QoS field. Type of service or quality of service field. So there you can never see the DSCP value. One method. Another way is the application without going to see all these fields, you just only see the flag. If the flag comes under the flag TCP, this urgent flag is enabled on, this application will understand this is comes under QoS. You understand, right? I will give you first priority for this packet. Just to the application to understand this comes under QoS. So I will start processing the QoS mechanism will start working. Understand, right?
Okay. Okay.
To understand that to segregate the packets from normal packet and priority packets, you can use this field. See, the application decides how to use the fields. Okay, so this is done by the application. So when I'm configuring, creating or coding, right? When I'm writing a code, I will say that when you are sending a voice packet in the software coding, I'll write down in the. For example, I'm using a voice phone. I'm writing a voice phone coding. Software, small software, voice code, voice IP phone software. In the IP phone software, I will tell them whenever I'm making a call, you send a packet like this. This is the format you use. In this format, you always keep this urgent pointer on. Okay. When a switch or router or anybody sees that packet, the first thing they'll see is the flags. So now when they understand this flag is a urgent pointer flag is on, then they'll understand this is a priority packet. So they will put them in a different queue. Understand, right? There's queues will be there. In QoS, we have different queues, right? So they put it in a voice queue or urgent queue, or depends on the policy they put in the queue. So to differentiate the mechanism to understand this packet is urgent or not, we use this. Simple example I tell you. One of the simple example is when you are sending email, there is a flag will come. High important flag will come. You've seen that flag? Important flag. There is a flag will come. Flag means it is actually a very important mail. The type of flags will come. So this is basically to tell you this mail is important mail. First read this mail. Okay.
Correct.
Because that is basically this field they are using. That application using this field, urgent field. You got it, na? So it depends on the application how to use this field.
Yeah, but Kumar, you took the VoIP as example, but VoIP uses UDP, right?
Yeah, correct only.
Okay.
I'm just telling you an example like that. So when I'm using a application, I want to make sure that that flag has to be enabled. It's urgent.
Okay. Okay. So even in UDP, UDP there will be a urgent flag.
For voice it will be different. Voice we have different protocols. UDP is basically a if you are talking about voice, right? Voice has a layer of protocols. The base layer will be UDP. Top of that we have RTP. Okay. reliable transport protocol. Okay. Top of that we have RTP. RTP is totally different. You understand? So TCP is
Real-time protocol, right?
a real-time protocol. TCP is basically what happens is TCP applications when they're using it, if they want to send something urgent, they will put that in the urgent field. The UDP, if you are taking, UDP will be using RTP protocols.
Okay.
The base will be UDP. Like voice will be using RTP, but the base of voice will be UDP. Now, if you see this, this will go. The voice RTP. You can select it. This is RTP, IPv4, L1, L2, IP, then UDP. On top of UDP, you have RTP. In the RTP, you have voice data. You understand this?
Okay.
This is the flow. Okay. UDP, in UDP, you run this. Just copy this. This communication, UDP is the base, but top of that, not only UDP will, because as I told you, UDP doesn't have any, it's not reliable and it's unreliable communication protocol, right? It doesn't have any fields. So for that, we use RTP and RCTP. On top of that, we run the application. These are the applications. The audio, video, we run this is the application layer. You understanding, na? This is for voice. What I'm saying is for voice multimedia. Okay. So the base is TCP. TCP also there it is mentioned here. You can see that. For RCSP, TCP is used. So TCP also uses, but I'm just telling you for high level you can understand like this. UDP is for voice. Okay. When you use for voice, no, we don't use only UDP protocol. We use RTP, RCTP. There are so many other protocols are involved in voice communication. Understand? No?
Okay.
Okay. Why UDP? I'll tell you. Why we are using UDP. TCP is clear. TCP fields are clear, everyone. Next field we are going UDP.
Yeah, it is clear.
Okay. So, I think Ranjita also clear, right? Clear. Next we'll go UDP. So UDP, if you see, we have only 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 fields are there. That's it. Now, source port number, destination port number, header length. This time it is adding header plus data. Both is giving one shot. This is your header, data plus header. Both it is adding. And we is saying what is the length. Okay. This is your L4 header. Here we are using UDP. Okay. Understand? Header length. So now if you take this data, there are different sizes there. If in interview they ask you what is the size of the maximum MTU, maximum size of a data, right? The maximum size of data, if anybody asks you, the maximum size of anybody, if you check that MTU is 16 MB for token ring, 4 MB for token ring, FDDA is 4 MB, Ethernet is 1500. Generally, you can give answer like this. What is the maximum size of data you can put in a single packet is, you can say 1500 bytes. Okay. But it is 1500 bytes is only for Ethernet we are talking here. Okay. For Ethernet, we have 1500 bytes. But if you are using fiber, you have to go for 4 MB. Token ring, there are 4 MB token ring, 16 MB token ring is there. WAN, different WAN is there. PPPoE means 1480. Like the extra 25 is 560, 560, like that, different. For every WAN, it will be different. Okay, these all are for LAN. This is for MTU, the size of the data. Now, when we use UDP, UDP is a unreliable uh, connection less communication protocol, right? When we use UDP, UDP is used for, like Sandeep, we are discussing with Sandeep, UDP is used for real-time application where we need to send stream of data. Stream of data means, for example, voice, video, online games are there, no? There, we cannot wait for every time, we cannot wait for acknowledgement. So we use stream of data. So that time we use UDP. Okay. So UDP is basically used for stream of data, means real-time application, where we need to send continuously data, where we cannot wait for acknowledgement. Then the communication will not happen. For example, when I'm speaking in the phone, I cannot wait for each and every word acknowledgement. Then my communication will not happen. My voice, video also. Now this class is going on, right? This class is going on. Continuously, you have to receive the free stream. You cannot wait for acknowledgement. Then this my communication, video and voice will not come in a proper order. So these type of real-time applications we use UDP. But as I showed you, it's not only UDP. Top of UDP we run TCP. We have something called RTP. Okay, top of this we run some protocol called RTP, but the base protocol is UDP. Is this clear? Any questions now?
I have a question on the MTU size. Consider, one, high-end router is having some, MTU size of 2500, and one small router is having MTU size of, it's capable of handling only 1500 MTU size. But if we set MTU size as 1200 or 1000, so will it affect the data transfer? Data transfer will be slower.
Not slower. It has to be. See, there are two things here. It has to be without loss, no.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, if you don't set the window size, if you don't run the window access mechanism, you send the higher end the data, the other side will drop the packet, right? You have to resend again.
Yeah, I'm asking you, a smaller router is capable of handling 1500 window size. Okay, but we are
Okay.
1000. Consider 1000. We are setting to 1000.
Okay. Okay.
In this scenario, data transfer will be slower, or it will be okay.
You are setting to 1000, right?
Sorry. Yeah, we are
Manually
setting.
setting to.
It is capable of.
Yeah, you're manually configuring MTU. There's a command called MTU. You're using that command and you're configuring the size, right? Window size.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then it will be lower, na? But there will be some reason. No, as administrator, you are setting some size means there will be some reason, right, for that. Like when you are using PPPoE, there is a command. When you configure PPPoE, PPPoE is used in your home router, you know.
Yeah, correct.
The broadband connection is there, na?
Yeah.
Okay, in the broadband connection, what we do, we configure, there is a command. Okay, I'll show you that. So we configure a command called IPMTU. There is a command we give in the router, IPMTU 1480. Okay. Now, what is the meaning of this? This 1500 is the size, but I'm reducing my MTU to 1480 because I'm going to add 20 bytes of PPP inside the Ethernet. Understand?
Sorry.
So I'm reducing. The purpose of MTU is I'm reducing the MTU sizes. I'm going to add 20 bytes of PPP header. Understand? 20 bytes I'm going to add. What I'm going to add? 20 bytes PPP header.
Okay.
So the purpose is why I'm reducing the MTU sizes. I am going to add extra 20 bytes as a PPP header. So in Ethernet, so I'm going to Ethernet. Understand? No, this is Ethernet protocol. In the Ethernet protocol, I'm telling you your size will be 1500 by default. Now I'm reducing into what? 20 bytes I'm reducing because 20 bytes I'm going to add my PPP information in Ethernet header. Understand? This is called PPP over Ethernet. What is the purpose of this MTU? Why we are reducing and increasing the default value. Otherwise, we don't reduce and increase generally. You got it, no? Purpose of this
Yeah.
this commander.
So when buffer overflow happens, will the session, is there a chance of session getting terminated?
There is a time period for everything. Okay, we call this a timer or a time duration. It will wait for some time. Session.
Okay.
If you go to this command, no, you can see this. You see this net stat. Okay, you can see that the close wait is there, right?
Yeah.
This close wait, it will not just close the session, it will wait for a particular time. For everything, there is a wait state will be there. The states are there, different states are there. Okay, now it will wait for a particular time. If that particular time there is no communication happens, then only it will close the session. Otherwise, just like that, it will not close the session. Okay,
Okay.
it maintains the session actually.
I asked this
Secondary
because,
protocol.
yeah, I asked this because I mean, we'll be using VPN connections. Yeah. When this happens, no, I mean, we'll be connected to the tunnel, and when we try to connect into our applications, if MTU size is much more than what is expected, then the VPN tunnel will disconnect.
Hmm.
Yeah.
See, VPN tunnel, understand here, there are two things here, okay, what we are discussing. There are two levels are there. Try to understand this. What is VPN? What we are discussing now? The difference is there. Okay. Now this is one thing we are discussing now. Okay.
Yeah.
Make a note on this. So why VPN is why I'm saying VPN is not what we discussed will not come to this. Okay. Now this is here underlay protocol. Underlay protocol. Okay. Underlay protocol means for communication, for ping. Okay. For ping, right? We use underlay protocols. Okay. Top of this underlay protocol, we run overlay. What we are talking VPN, right? VPN is top of this. First ping has to happen. Understand? Top of this, I'm creating a overlay protocol. Okay. So this overlay protocol is for security. For example, VPN is for security. Correct now?
Yeah.
VPN is not for connection. For connection, over connection, we used to use underlay protocol. There, all these things are running. You understand? When you run overlay protocol, like for example VPN, it has its own setup, its configuration. Okay, it has to match that configuration. Then only now underlay protocol is not supporting like IPv4, TCP, right? TCP, IPv4, right? And what is that? Ethernet. This is all underlay protocols, right? Like you can take like OS, BGP, OSPF, routing protocols. So BGP, OSPF, and TCP, IPv4, IPv6, Ethernet. These protocols, what we are discussing is underlay. What we are discussing now, right? This all comes under underlay. Now, what you are asking is overlay protocol. For VPN, right? We use something like IPsec, okay, SSL, right? That is we call overlay protocol. This is for communication, pinging. This is for security, right?
Okay.
Understand? So this has its own flow. A lot of flow is there. How it will establish a session and how it creates a tunnel. There are different protocols in that. ISA camp is there. There are IKEs there. IKE tunnels are there. In IPsec itself has so many things are there. Okay. Now, based on that only, the overlay protocol will establish the session or tunnels. Understand?
Okay.
So there are two issues. Maybe when you are troubleshooting, you need to first see that underlay protocol is having problem. If underlay protocols are good, then you have to go to overlay protocol.
Okay.
So you need to troubleshoot like that. To make sure that first of all you decide that is this the problem of underlay protocols or overlay protocols. Then once you confirm this is not underlay protocol, ping is happening, no issues. Only my VPN protocol, then you have to troubleshoot in the IPsec or SSL, whichever protocol you are using. IPsec, SSL, GRE, whichever you are using, you can use them. These all are the VPN protocols. Understand? No?
Got it.
This is the way you have to troubleshoot. Okay. Now we are discussing generally. Now what we are discussing is underlay protocol. Top of that we build this tunnels. Understand? No? But it is mandatory. It has to work properly. If you have any issues in the underlay protocols, your VPN will never restart. You need to see where you have to configure or where you have been any misconfiguration happen. I got you. You got your answer now, Sandeep?
Yeah, Kumar. Got it.
Okay. Fine. So any other questions from Ranjita or Sandeep on Sanjita and Ashwita on this topic? Can I move forward? Okay. So now we have finished this one. So what I will do is I want you to do tomorrow. We'll start with IPv4 and IPv6. Then we'll discuss about the Ethernet and we'll discuss about the ARP and ICMP also. Something I want to discuss about ARP and ICMP. Then we'll do the packet capture. So tomorrow we'll do that. Okay. So with this we are finishing the protocol field. Now till now today we finished this. Right? So tomorrow we started IPv4 header, fields and functions, IPv6, then all this. We'll compare with this tomorrow. Okay. So quick feedback. So how was the class today, Sandeep? Is it okay?
Yeah, Kumar. It was very good. I mean, yeah, I got most of my basic stuff doubts cleared.
Okay. Ashwita, is it okay? Ranjita, Ashwita is okay?
Yeah,
Can we wind up for the day?
and I want recording of yesterday's and today.
See, what I'm doing is every day I'm recording it. Okay. So what happens is to me is I'll just show you now. Yesterday recording I got it. Today, yesterday night I got it. Okay. Because this is free, right? Sometimes it will take a lot of time to get in the cloud. For example, maybe in the queue, I think. Okay. So daily I'm recording now. So I think yesterday I sent you one. You received that recording.
Yeah,
First day
I
recording,
got.
right?
Yeah, I got.
You got that, right? Now today, what I will do, I will just send the recordings off. So this is 2 days recording. I think yesterday I sent you day two also, right? I think day two yesterday. Yesterday
I
I sent
got.
you day.
Day before yesterday I got.
No, yesterday night I sent you day two. Sandeep, you received it?
Yeah, Prema, I've received it.
Yeah, I got. Even I got.
Yeah. So yesterday night I sent it. So day two I got it. Now day three is not come now. I just stopped the recording now, right? We actually process and store in this. Okay. Once I come in my cloud, right, I will share it. Maybe it come today night or sometime. So I'll keep on keeping this day one, day two, day three like that. So I will be having 40 classes now. 20 classes generally we'll have. All these 20 days classes we'll try to store in this and I'll share with you. Okay, 20 classes.
Okay.
Right?
Sure.
Okay. So anything else we discuss?
So even I wanted the recording of.
Yes, but we just put in WhatsApp now. Send me your email ID. I will start sending you all the recording. Day one, day two, day three.
Sure.
Send me your email ID in your WhatsApp, my WhatsApp now. I will start sending you the all the day one, day two, day three. Okay. The thing is, it has to come in this cloud storage. Once it comes, I will start sharing this. Okay, ma'am. So you have sent it now. Send you now, sir. Ready? 1 and 2. Okay. San, you're able to download this, right? Are you only able to watch? You're not able to download. Just let me know if you're not able to download. Okay.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Just check it out. Yeah, I think you can able to download according to me. If you're not able to download, let me know. Okay. So I can do something else. Okay. Now, as of now, I'm just giving access to watch only. I think I can do that. So, view recording only. I don't know if they will download or not. Okay. So anything else? So tomorrow we'll be discussing on the IPv4, IPv6 header fields and Ethernet fields and other protocols like ARP and ICMP. Then we'll see the packet capture. We'll capture the packet and understand bit by bit to bit basis. Okay. Can we end it for the day?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Then we'll see you on tomorrow. Take care. Have a nice day. Bye.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much, Prem.
Yeah, thank you. Bye. Good morning, Arpita. Good morning, Arpita. Okay. We have to start back.